Good morning everybody. My name is Vidula Maheskar and I am talking to you from a beautiful campus of IISER Pune. I work at a place called Garware Bal Bhavan in Pune, which is a recreational center and playground for children. Today is 14th of November, it's Children's Day and wish you all a very happy Children's Day. I am going to start my session today with a story. This story is about 2500 years old from the life of the great sage Gautam Buddha. Gautam Buddha was once taking a walk in his monastery when a very young monk came to him requesting to get a new shawl. Gautam Buddha asked the monk, "What did you do with your old shawl? I am sure you had one." The monk replied that the shawl got very old and worn out, so I started using it like a bed sheet. Gautam Buddha asked again, "I'm sure you had an old bed sheet. What did you do with the old bed sheet?" To which the monk replied that the bed sheet again was worn, so I cut it up and I made into a pillowcase. Gautam Buddha was still not satisfied. He asked the monk, "Of course you had some old pillowcase. What did you do with that?" And to which the monk said, the pillowcase that I was using I had rubbed my head so many times that it got worn out, so I folded it up and used it like a doormat. Gautam Buddha, being Gautam Buddha, asked again, "Of course you had an old doormat. What did you do with that?" And the monk said, "The doormat was so worn out with use that its warp and weft had come out. So I took the threads out, I braided it into a wick and I burnt it in my oil lamp." Gautam Buddha smiled, he was satisfied, and of course the monk got the new shawl. What does this story tell us? It's a great lesson of reuse and recycling. What do we do today? Unfortunately, we buy a lot of stuff and generate a lot, and not all of it we use up. So we generate a lot of waste, tons of waste. So it's very important for us to be very sensitive about the materials we are using. Our Indian culture was not always like this. We have been very frugal and sensible when it came to using materials and resources. We were very respectful of what we are using, and also we believed that every object has multiple lives and many uses. The concept of reuse and recycling was ingrained in our culture. So today I am going to devote my whole session into showing you toys that are made with easily available humble material, and mostly it could be considered as trash. So let us begin and I'll to show my toys. The first set of toys that I am going to show you are made with very humble matchbox. We all have matchboxes at home, so I'll show you some of the toys. There are many toys that we can make, but let me show you a couple that can be made with empty matchboxes. This is the first toy that I'm going to show you. It is called as the walking matchbox. First, let me show you how to play with it. This is the matchbox, and if I move my hand, you can see that it actually goes from one end to another. I can bring it back, start all over again, and then it starts to walk. Now let me show you how it's made. This is an empty matchbox. What we have to do is poke a needle, thread a needle. This is the thread that we use is used to stitch godhadi or quilts, and then you thread the needle. You poke in the needle from the striking surface, from the middle of the striking surface of the matchbox, get it out from the top here, put it back again and get it out from the other striking surface. So if I open this, you can see that the threads inside are at an angle. This is the angle that helps the matchbox actually walk. What happens is that it will only walk in the direction of the angle. What happens is when you stretch your hand, the thread breaks and the end that is loose slips. So it's a slip and break that happen one after the another, and you get the matchbox to walk. It doesn't have to be just one matchbox. You can draw whatever picture that you want to draw on it, maybe a rabbit, whatever that hops and walks, you can always draw a picture, stick on it, and you can see that it can walk. You can also have two consecutive matchboxes like this, and this is a train. As you can see, there is an engine and there is a dabba. So again, these are two matchboxes that are woven in sequence, and if I play with them, so if they go on one side and I play with them, you can see that they bob. The engine is a little faster, so it is leaving the dabba and going ahead, but you can always get 2 or 3 matchboxes to walk one after the other. Alright, let's go to the next toy. The next toy that I want to show you is a go-no-go matchbox. It actually mimics the action of a spider, so I have drawn a spider on top of it. So you can see it can slip and it can stop. It can slip and it can break. Slip and break. Again, whenever you want it to break. This toy is extremely simple, but we all should remember that simple can be extremely profound. It is non-trivial. Let's see how we can make this toy. For this toy, you need, of course, a matchbox and some kind of a weight, which in this case I have used a washer like this. You don't need to use a magnet, but I have used a magnet just so that I can disassemble it and show you how it's made. This is the drawer of a matchbox. You need to make 4 holes, 2 in the short side and 2 in the long side. In the long side of the drawer, I have fixed a matchstick here, which is tapered at both ends. You don't need to stick it, just make holes and slip through this. Then a long thread goes through, is weaved from this end and it comes out at this end. Now you can see what happens is this thread goes over the matchstick. So and of course we have to attach some weight. So you can either stick some kind of a weight here. In this case, I have used a washer, and since washer is magnetic, I have used a magnet at the back so that it stays in place. This is the weight that is required to slip, and this stick and the thread is the braking mechanism. How does it work? Without the spider, I am going to show you. What happens is when I keep the thread loose, the weight brings the drawer down, and when I pull the thread taut, the thread rubs against the matchstick, and that is the brake that you can have. So now, just because I want to make a spider, this was the drawer. From the shell of the matchbox, I have made a spider like this, and I am going to just attach the spider here with the magnet like this, and this is your go-no-go spider. Let's see again how it works. So now you know, if I keep it loose, it slips, and I make it tight, it stops. So this is the go-no-go spider. The weight of the washer has to be just such that it can balance out the braking mechanism of the thread and the matchbox. Next 2 toys that I want to show you are for the young ones, but it will be good for you to make if you have a younger sibling. These toys would be good to make and give them as gifts. This is a stretching neck giraffe. This is again the drawer. This is the drawer and the shell. What you have to draw is the body and legs of the giraffe here, and the drawer will have the image of the neck and head of the giraffe. So if I push the drawer in, you can see that the giraffe has a short neck, and as I go on pulling, giraffe will have longer and longer neck. This is the stretchable. The idea behind pulling the drawer in and pushing out so well here. So this is the stretchable neck giraffe. While on stretching, this toy is not made with matchboxes, but it is a paper cutting toy. This is a dog which has a stretchable tummy. It is a paper cutting magic. What you can do is, you have to fold this dog into half, and you know, this is a very beautiful cut, and you can see that the dog can stretch its tummy, or you can have a boy or a girl with stretchable torso. It is the same kind of cut, and you can have a stretchable tummy. This is the next toy for a very young kids. It's actually a magic, but of course it's not magic. For this I'll need help of Ankish. So Ankish, can you please come and help?
Sure.
Ankish, you simply have to hold the matchbox from here and here, the both ends. Now this you can see there are 2 colors of wool. One is pink and one is green. And you can see as I move the matchbox from one end to another, the wool changes color. Is it some kind of magic? I can slip it back and it will still change the color. Let me show you how this toy is made. Thank you, Ankish. I'll open the drawer and I'll show you how this toy is made. You have to thread the needle with one colored wool, push it in from the drawer here and diagonally get it out from the other side and leave the wool there. Now thread the wool with another color, maybe in this case green, put it in from here and get it out diagonally from the other side. So you can see that the wools cross inside the drawer. This is the magic trick. Then I'll put the shell back and you are good to go. As you move the matchbox along the threads, I'll open the shell and you can see what happens. As I move the drawer along the wool, you can see that actually it's crossed inside and it feels like the wool is changing color as it goes through the drawer. The next set of toys that I am going to show you convert linear motion of the drawers into angular motion of the toy. Let's go to our first toy. This is the pecking bird. It's actually a bird that we see very much in Pune. It's called as the golden oriole and you can make many different kinds of birds which I will show you later. So this is how the bird pecks. As I move the drawer, the bird is going to peck. What have we achieved? How have we achieved this? First of all, there is a paper fulcrum here, as you can see. This is a paper fulcrum and this is a seesaw hinge where the bird will actually rock inside this paper fulcrum. Now, there is a flexi wire that we have used here. One end of the flexi wire is fixed into the drawer and the other end goes into the tail of the bird. And as I move the drawer in and out, you can see the drawer is in linear motion, the bird would have angular motion like this. So, you can, if the mic is sensitive, you can actually hear the bird peck. This is the golden oriole, but we have been using many different birds with our kids. This is called as the navrang, this is the minivet and this is sarunki or maina. So, you can use all different kinds that you want and then make a pecking bird like this. Another toy that converts linear into angular is this butterfly net. Girl who tries to catch butterfly with her net. Let me first show you how this toy works. If I push in and out the drawer in and out, you can see the girl will try to catch the butterfly with her net. How would you make this toy? First of all, you take a card sheet, draw a butterfly and a girl with the net in her hand. Then you cut the strip and stick it on the drawer like this. Stand the girl and the butterfly and you make a tiny fold here like this. If you can see it well, this is the tiny fold that we have made, and as you open and close the drawer, you can see drawer moves linearly but the net moves angularly. The next two toys that I want to show you are extremely profound. Now this is actually a puzzle. This is, you have to take one standard matchbox like this and then you have to give it to a child or adult and ask them to fill the drawer of this matchbox with as many tiny things as possible. The only thing you should remember is that you have to pack only one specimen of its kind. This was actually an open competition in Vikram Sarabhai Center at Ahmedabad and Vikram Sarabhai Community Center at Ahmedabad, and one child could pack more than 200 things in the matchbox. I have tried to pack a few and let me show you what I have packed. Now this is a rajma bean, this is tuar dal, this is pepper, this is a small rubber band, this is a button, this is a safety pin, this is a pin, this is a small moong grain. So these are, here itself we have kind of packed more than 10 things. So imagine how many things you can pack in this small drawer of a matchbox. You can always have these competitions. The second toy, which I think is very profound, is a story in a matchbox. This is what we have done at Bal Bhavan. What you can do is, you can actually open a drawer like this and you can depict any story that you want in an accordion fold of a paper that fits just right inside the drawer. Now this is a story of a girl. This is a very simple story of a girl who finds a small piece of paper lying outside, and earlier it is sunny, then it suddenly gets clouded and starts raining. She realizes that there is a puddle there, and then she folds a little boat of the paper that she has found, and then she floats the boat on the paper. And then you can fold the story inside the matchbox, and this is your story in a matchbox. You can also make the cover of the story, and the name of this story happens to be the paperboard. You can have a huge library of these small stories that you make and exchange these stories. The next toy that I want to show you is a shimmering matchbox. Let me show you how this works first. So again, this is a toy that will need a thread, and then if I pull the thread straight, you can see this matchbox comes down in short jerks. It's a very intriguing motion. How have we achieved this? Let me show you how this is made. So this is the shell of the matchbox. You have to push in 2 paper pins like this, and then pass a thread, weave a thread through the holes here that the pin leaves. So this is a thread that goes through the pins, and then you try beads at both ends just so that it doesn't slip, and then you have to push in the drawer. The minute you hold the thread tight, you can see it shimmers down like this. Now what makes this toy tick? First of all, how much you push the pins inside, that is very crucial. How much room does the thread has to move, and secondly, how far or in your drawer is. Suppose I remove the drawer, what would be the motion of this toy? It will also do it, but in larger jerks. It is a different kind of motion, and the moment I push in the drawer, the motion will be slightly different now. So the toys that you make like this will let you experiment with the toys. How much should you push the pins in? How much should the drawer be outside? What kind of thread should I use? Can you use a thread that is synthetic, that doesn't have any friction? All these things are very crucial, and even though the toy looks simple, it has amazing amount of handcraft involved in it and a lot of creativity. Yes. We just saw a shimmering matchbox, and now let me show you one more toy which will give the same kind of jerky motion. Actually 2 toys. This is a woodpecker. As you know, it pecks at the wood. It is not going to peck at the wood, but let me show you how it comes down in jerky motions. This is a woodpecker that comes down, and then if I invert this spoke, it will come down again, but now in different kind of motion. How do you get this toy to work? First of all, as you can see, there is spoke and there is a spring that is made up of GI wire. The spring is actually a GI wire that is wound around a cylinder that is slightly bigger in diameter than the spoke. I have actually used a skewer, wooden skewer. You wind it and then make it into a spring, attach a weight here which happens to be a woodpecker's shape here, and then you have to push it in. Now the way this motion happens depends on many things. First of all, what is the diameter of the spring that you make? How many turns do you take? What is the weight that you are going to attach at the other end? How far is the weight from the spoke? All this depends on how this toy works. You don't have to do all these calculations. You just start making the toy, and empirically you will get to know what are the best conditions that get this toy to work. Another toy that you can make with this same kind of motion is this woodpecker again, but here we have used a spoke and a spring, and here we are going to use a rubber band. Again, this is a woodpecker, and let me show you how this comes down. This is again a jerky motion again, like this. How do we make this toy? There is a picture of a woodpecker here. Between the 2 woodpeckers, it's sandwiched a stiff straw, and through the stiff straw goes in a rubber band like this. Now the friction between the inside of the straw and the rubber band is very crucial for getting this toy to work. Again, if I don't stretch it very well, the motion is different. If I stretch it, the motion is different. Now this is a slightly old rubber band which has caught a bit of a dust, so the friction is more. I want to show you again how it doesn't work very well when the rubber band is new. Sometimes you find when the rubber band is new, it is very shiny. It's kind of a thin layer of oil on it, and then it just slips and it doesn't fall down very well. As you can see here, so the older the rubber band, the better are the jerks. These are the small things that make a difference between a toy working and a toy not working very well. This is another kind of a bird. It's supposed to be a woodpecker, but of a different kind. So how much to stretch the rubber band, how much to keep it loose, what is the diameter of the straw that you are going to use, what is the weight of the bird that you are going to use, all this determines the working of this toy. Okay, now while we are on vertical motion, let me show you one toy that is again a very beautiful and intriguing vertical motion. Now let me first show you this toy. Very intriguing and beautiful motion. How have we made this toy? Again, this is the GI wire, but the GI wire that we used here while making the spring of the woodpecker and this is different. We should remember when you go to buy any GI wire, remember that the number of gauge will tell you the thickness of the wire. Higher the number of the gauge, like 25 gauge wire would be thicker than 35 gauge wire. That is what we should remember. Normally we think that more the number of gauge, the fatter will be the wire. It's actually very opposite. Okay, so what we do in here is take about 1.5 foot long GI wire which is thick, and then you wind it around a fat ball pen or a PVC pipe. You get it out, hold two ends and pull it into a loose spring like this. And then we have actually weaved here some colored straw pieces that come down with, how much you stretch the wire depends on how you want the straw pieces to tumble down. If you want them to tumble down slowly, you don't have to pull the wire very straight. Suppose now if I pull this very much, you can see that they come down very fast. Suppose you keep it compressed, they will come down one by one. And so it's all, ye sab slope ka khel hai. So now if I use a thinner wire, you can see the motion is different. That was fat, this is thin. The ball pen that I used to wind the wire here was thinner, so it makes a tighter spiral. If you don't have colored straw pieces, no problems. We have used here some colored U-pins. You can also use some long safety pins like this. It will make a nice umbrella like motion. If you don't have GI wire, this is also possible that you take a binding wire like this. You pull it into a loose spiral. This is an old binding wire, and you can also put some colored beads here that come down so well. So it is good to not have exactly the material that is shown, so that you look around your place and see what is the best alternative that you can use. We saw a lot of toys with vertical motion and the toys that used friction to their advantage. Let me show you a few toys in which we are going to reduce the friction and get wonderful motion. Most of the toys that I am going to show you today are documented very well on two websites. First is Padma Shri Arvind Gupta's website called arvindguptatoys.com, and Garware Bal Bhavan also has a YouTube channel. Among these two channels, you will be able to see detailed instructions of making these toys. The next toy that I am going to show you today is this marble mouse that scurries on any surface that you keep. You can see that this is a black mouse that scurries through. How do you make a mouse like this? First of all, there is a stencil. This toy comes from China, incidentally, and there is a stencil that you can make, and then this stencil you have to fold it, remove some of the holes here. You remove this part here so that it makes a hole for the tummy, and these are two ears that you have to pop out, and then you have to stick the lugs so as to make a mouse like this. You will see that the mouse will have an oval shaped hole at the base like this. You simply have to push a marble through this and then your toy is done. Now this marble will be touching any surface that you keep the mouse on, and it will reduce the friction, and the mouse can actually scurry very well. And you can see it does not go to and fro, it actually changes its direction and moves as if the mouse would scurry along. Suppose you do not have this stencil, you can still make a toy like this. This is a swan. If you have a paper cup, if you do not have the stencil for the mouse, it is okay. You can also make a lovely swan that swims with a paper cup. You have to remove the base of the cup like this and then flatten it, draw a swan and make a small slit in the bottom and reverse fold it so that you make a nice oval shaped hole for a marble to sit in. You keep the marble down and then you have to shape the top of the cup like a swan, stick the head, and you can see that the only thing you should remember is that you keep the marble down and place it very well over this oval shape, and you can see that you have a beautiful swan that actually swims. If you have a blue colored plate, you can see the swan can actually swim in the plate. So this is your marble swan as well. So if you don't have the stencil, you don't have to worry. Diwali vacations are just over, so I am sure you all played a lot. But let me show you 2 or 3 toys that you would love to assemble and also play with. This is a ball shooter. Let me show you how to play with this. You have to keep a ball here and then you pull the rubber band slightly. You can it actually shoots up, and then you can catch it either with your hand, or you can ask your friend. You can be really hard with it, it will go really far, maybe 20 feet, and your friend can catch it in whatever cup that he or she has. Let me show you how to assemble it. First of all, you would need a stiff bottle like this. Remove you just have to take the top conical portion of the bottle. You have to make 4 slits in the rim of the bottle, 1, 2, 3 and 4 into crosses like this. Then you have to fix 2 rubber bands in semicircles, one from here and one from here. They will cross in the middle. You have to tie a thread in the middle on this junction and get it out from the hole of the lid of this bottle. Now this hole is made using pointed scissors. You just turn them around so that you make a hole like this, pull the thread out, and just so that the thread doesn't go in accidentally, you tie a bead like this. So the way to play with this is pull the thread so that the rubber band is in tension. You keep the ball on this, and the tension in this rubber band will propel the ball. So I will show you again. You keep the ball on the rubber band like this. I am going to be gentle this time. You have to, maybe I keep this ready and I pull it, and let's see if I can catch. You can always catch it like this, that's fine. Another convenience of this toy is that even if you want to take it somewhere to play, you can always push the ball in, and so that it stays in place and you don't lose the ball. Another ball shooter that you can make is called as a catapult. In ancient time, this was unfortunately used in wars. This catapult is made with 7 ice cream sticks. 5 ice cream sticks are bound here and 2 ice cream sticks go with a rubber band like this. Let me show you the assembly. This is the fulcrum that you make with the ice cream sticks. This is the ice cream stick that is put in place with a rubber band again, and just so that you can put this ball inside, we have pushed in an old plastic cup here. Now the way to play with this catapult is you have to keep this ball here, and you can actually aim and shoot, and then you pull this in and the ball shoots. You can actually catch, and it's a, thank you, I'll show you again. This ball is very simple. You crumple a small piece of newspaper, tie it with a rubber band, and your cannonball is ready. So you pull it back and you shoot the catapult. These are 2 toys that you can make and play with. The next toy you can play with, is lovely to make, is a flick knife. It's actually a very innocuous, simple and wonderful flick knife which can be assembled with just 2 ice cream sticks. Now these are 2 ice cream sticks, as you can see. One stick is kept whole and the other stick is cut into 2. The longer part, this is 2/3 and 1/3. The longer part is shaped into a blade, and with the second one we are going to make a button. Now this is actually, the blade is attached to the main stick with a rubber band like this, just 2 or 3 rounds. And you can see a flicking motion here. If I turn this blade around and if I release it, this flicking motion is ready. Now to lock this, we have to make a button. To make the button, you take the bottom part, with a rubber band you keep it in place. Right now it's not a button. To make it into a button, you have to attach a fulcrum. For fulcrum, you have to take a small stick and push it in between. And this is your button. This is actually a paper clip that can hold some kind of paper like this. This is your paper clip as well. For us, this is a button. Now how to lock the blade is, you turn the blade around, open the button and lock this clip. And the moment you press the button, the flick will open. And it can also have a locking mechanism. How you can do it is that once you lock it, and if you move the fulcrum back, it is not going to open. That is the best part, that if you move the fulcrum back, the clip will not open and the chaku would be kept in place. Now this is slightly bigger. Now these are called as tongue pressers that you get in any medical shops. So this is like a huge knife. Again, I open it, I turn this around and I keep it like this. And the moment I flick it, it is open, and you can always lock it by pushing the fulcrum back. Now no matter how hard I press, it is not going to open. Another toy that you can assemble with an ice cream stick is this very beautiful spindle. For this you will need 2 loops like this made up of strings and 1 strut. Now for this you have to wet the ice cream stick so that it is easier to cut. You cut 1 ice cream stick into 2 and make these 2 notches. To show you how to play with this, I am going to ask help from my friend Vasanthi Tai. Vasanthi Tai, can you please come and help me? So the way, it is very easy toy to make, but it takes a little bit of practice to play. I am going to ask Vasanthi Tai to hold this loop a little tight like this. Now this is going to be strut, and this is going to be, now the thread is in it's stretched and this spindle is in compression. Now this is what you have to play, this is how you play with it. You take another loop and then first of all you wind the thread so that you get some twists in this original loop. Now you take the second loop and you tangle it lightly into one of the notches like this and you release the thread. You can see the second thread that you have is wound around the first thread. Now the way to play with it is pull and release, and you can see the spindle moves and you can see lovely wave patterns coming out like this. If you want to change the patterns, you pull it again and wind it again, and then you are ready to go. Thank you, Vasanthi Tai. If you want to play alone, you can sit down and use your feet to hold the first loop tight and then play with your hand. This is called as the spindle. It's a very simple toy. It takes just half an ice cream stick and 2 loops. We saw waves that were made with ice cream stick spindle. I'll show you one more toy that can make very beautiful waves. So for that you need a heavy ball and an elastic thread. So you need quite a heavy ball. So here I have used a rubber ball that is a jumping ball like this, or you can also make a clay ball, dry it in sun and then use it as your weight. You have to take this ball and take a pin and shape it into a kind of a hairpin and then push it in, and so that you make a loop, and to that loop you tie this very simple elastic thread that you can get anywhere. The first thing you have to do now is to wind this elastic thread by moving it on a surface in one direction, maybe 10 or 20 rounds like this, so that you get some twists in the elastic. After 20 or 30 rounds, you can simply lift it and see what wonderful wave pattern the elastic thread makes as it winds and unwinds. See, it is now unwinding. It will again go in opposite direction and also make waves. If you wind it a lot of times, what will happen is it can also make 2 very complex wave patterns like this. Let me see if I can show you again. Yeah, let's see. Now it will unwind again because it got wound in other direction. You can very easily use a clay ball to achieve this. This was about waves. Now let's go back to some very natural materials that you can use to make toys, and I'll show you some of the toys that can be made with a simple broomstick or a kharata stick. If you look at the stick very carefully, you can see that it is fat at one end and it tapers down as it goes to the top. This property of the stick can be used to make many different toys. The first and the simplest one is a flying bird. You simply have to draw a bird on a probably 75 GSM paper and then stick it with a sellotape at the thin end of the broomstick. So you can also color it up, but today I have kept it nice and white. You have to simply stick it with the sellotape to the tapered side of the broomstick or kharata, and this is your flapping bird. And if I move this stick, you can see this bird makes a very beautiful and very elegant flying pattern. For this, the most important part is the gauge of the paper. As you can see, if you know that the normal paper that we use for photocopying is about 80 to 85 GSM. This is slightly thinner than that, because if you take a stiff paper, then it does not make that very elegant flying motion of the wings. But if you take too thin a paper, it is difficult to maintain a little bit of stiffness that is required. So you can actually hold it nice and long, and you can see that this bird makes a very beautiful flying pattern. Let me show you two more toys that we can assemble with kharata sticks. This is a wagging tail. Let me show you how this works first, how to play with it. If I move these sticks, you can see that it moves to the right and left. And then if you have a picture of a dog, this could very well be the tail, and then it can wag like this. This is one very happy dog who wags his tail at your side. Now, how do you make this toy? First of all, you need to take two kharata sticks and you have to tie it at one end. Tie it so that it actually makes a long end like this, and then you take A4 sheet and make a long tapered strip like this. You tie the tapered end at one end of this junction and weave it in and out. If you weave it in and out, it makes a nice pattern. At the end, you stick the end to the paper itself and not the broomstick. You hold it with just one stick like this, one fat stick, and move the other stick so that it can wag the tail. If I hold it like this, you can see a very happy dog. It's a very lovely motion that can be achieved with just a strip of A4 paper and two kharata sticks. Let me show you one more toy that is made out of kharata stick. This is actually a persistence of vision toy. For this, you will need two kharata sticks. As we saw earlier, a kharata stick has a tapered, one end is tapered and the other is fat. So you need to take two kharata sticks and lie one like this and one like this, so that you have an even thickness twin kharata, and then you make a bow out of it. The string of the bow will go through the hole of an old sketch pen refill. You can make this hole with a heated needle and poke it in, and now you have this bow with an old refill that is weaved in it. Now you have to draw two pictures. One here one is a fish and here is the fish bowl. You draw two pictures that you want to superimpose, and then the way to tangle this is it's stuck on an old refill. You pull a little bit of thread out from the sketch pen like this, give the refill half a turn and push it back again. This is actually the mechanism is like carpenter's bow drill. Earlier when there were no electric drills, this is how carpenters used to drill holes. If the refill was long enough and pointed, it could actually bore hole. Let me show you how this works. So I only have to move the bow to and fro like this. The refill rotates and you can see the fish in the bowl. Now again, straight line motion of the bow is converted into rotatory motion of the refill. These are kharata sticks. Sometimes you can see this is made up of coconut fronds. You also have full jadus at home. Diwali is just over, so you've been probably busy cleaning the house and you have used your full jadu a lot. Using a full jadu, you can make these two very tiny dolls that dance very well. So when do you throw away a full jadu? When the jadu part of the broom is kind of breaks away, the bottom part still remains. So from that handle, you have to cut small tiny bits of the full jadu pieces. You can see that the inside of the pith of this broom is very soft. So you have to take a screw like this. Now this is a blunt end screw. You need to take a screw that has pointed ends and screw in the screw inside the pith of the full jhadu, so that you get a small stick with a screw like this, and now you can kind of decorate it to look like a doll. So I have made a slit at the top, pushed in a head. These are 2 wire hands, and with a wool, with 2 colored wools, I have made a shirt and a pant for this boy doll. And you can also make a girl doll like this, with again a head, 2 arms made up of wires, and a skirt with a small bit of cloth. Now the way to play with them, now you can take a few magnets like this. These are simple ferrite magnets, and you know the screw is magnetic, so that your dolls are going to stick to the magnet. The way to get these dolls to dance is that you have to take them on a card sheet like this, and from the bottom you have to pass the magnets. Now you can see, as I move the magnets, the dolls will make beautiful dance. See, they can dance. The faster you move, the dance will be fast as well. Now right now I have used screws that have slightly sharper edges. Now if you take the screws that have rounded edges, they will dance even better. Now I am done with the toys with brooms and broomsticks. Let us make some paper toys now. Paper is an amazing material, and you can make very dynamic toys with paper. Let me show you a couple. First is, I am going to show you a very simple paper folding toy. We have all kind of folded twin boards. This is a toy that you have to fold into twin boards and see what the dance the joker can make. Let us first fold a twin board. This is a twin boat we all make. Now we have drawn joker on this, and you can see how the joker will dance when I move the folds like this. Now this is how it will dance. You can see, you can move the legs, you can move the arms, one up, one down, right and left going like this. You can do whatever. What beautiful motions for this. You can also make a traffic havaldar, go and no go. Now the thing to remember is, if you can see here carefully, the way to draw your joker is very peculiar. From one side it is vertical symmetry, so half of it is drawn here and half of it is drawn here, and from top and bottom it is horizontal symmetry. So it is drawn, so half of the head and the arms are here and the legs here. If you draw like this, you can draw any picture and get it to dance. You make this into a twin fold like this, we up and down. Let us make a toy that earlier was made out of leaves, but now we have adapted to be made with a paper like this. This is actually a very intriguing motion. Let me show you first how the motion looks, and then we will see how easily it can be assembled. If I move this straw to and forth, you see what a beautiful flying motion these two wings can manifest. Now let us see how it is made. Earlier when I saw it, it was actually made with a maple leaf kind of a thing, and then the leaf was cut like this until the midriff, and the stem of the leaf was actually twisted and pushed into a hole that was made in the central part of the leaf. Now what we do is, you simply have to take a paper that is slightly thinner, which is about 65 to 70 GSM, shape it into a leaf like this, make two cuts until the midriff and a small hole in this part. If you find a leaf like this, please make out of leaf, otherwise you can make it with paper. And the stem has to be long, which is actually turned around like this, put it in through the hole and then pull it, and now you pull and release the straw. This is a small part of the straw that is flexible, so it is used as a stem, and then you pull in and out and you can see how the wings flap. Another toy that you can make out of paper is this color changing heart. This is actually a long paper like this. Now the most important feature of this toy is the proportion of the paper. Let me first show you how it works and then you can see. If I hold this heart like this is a heart that changes its color when you flick it. So now if I hold it like this and flick it, you can see it is red. If I flick it, it's green, red and green, red, green. How is it magic? Of course not. So what you do is take a long strip of paper like this and then fold it so that it's not exactly 1/3. Now you can see it just goes past the heart. The back portion of this paper just is enough to cover the heart that is cut in the center. You take a long strip, cut the heart in the middle. The rare part of this is just covers the heart, and then if you can see from the back, these two ends are colored differently, and then you fold it like this. If this is too long, the way it works is, see, if I flick it like this, this part opens and goes behind here. If I flick it from here, this comes out and goes behind like this. So it works like this, 1 and 2. So if this is too long, if the proportion of this back part is too long, it is not going to flick. That is the most important thing. So now, if the proportion is just right, you can flick it and change the color. We have just stapled it here so that for the ease of holding and to keep the paper in the right position. Another toy that I want to show you that can be easily assembled with paper is this swimming fish. As you can see, this shows a very beautiful swimming action. How do you make this toy? Of course, you can see some ribs here, and these ribs are important for the motion of the fish. Again, the paper that you use for this is approximately 55 to 60 GSM, which is slightly thinner than the regular photocopying paper that we use. To make this fish, you need to take a square like this and then make two tiny folds from the end like this. Then you open it and then you make series of ribs here. I'll just show you some of them. So you cut these ribs until the folded edge. These ribs are very important for this motion. See, now if I open it, you can see these ribs. You make two portions like this, take it on one on top of the other and sandwich in a small skewer like this, and that's it. If you add a little bit of weight which is going to give it momentum and that swishing action, you make a hole and then you have this very beautiful swimming fish. There is another swimming fish you can make, and which is this. You can see again, for this swaying action you need to make paper ribs. These are the ribs that are made horizontally, and now its action is going to be like this. You can see these ribs are like this. Do you see some correlation between the direction of the ribs and direction of motion? If the ribs are like this, the motion is like this, and if the ribs are vertical, the motion is like this. So these are tiny things. You think that the toys are very simple and there is no much thought that has gone into it. It is not like that. Simple is profound. That's the new thing. Let me show you one very wonderful structure that can be assembled with an old envelope. We have these old envelopes a lot at home, and you can make very wonderful regular tetrahedron with this old envelope. Let me show you how to make it. So this is your envelope. First of all, you need to fold it in the center like this. Then as you know, all the sides of the tetrahedron are going to be equal because every unit would be an equilateral triangle. So you fold this edge on one side until it meets the midpoint. Draw a line here, open it. Do the same from the other side, draw a line here, and you have your equilateral triangle with the length of this width. Now all you need to do is cut this, and I'll show you how it's done. This is all you need to achieve, and the way to fold it is make clean folds in the envelope now to get a very regular tetrahedron like this. This is a small flap that you can use to stick, and see what a beautiful tetrahedron it can make. This is from a simple old envelope. Pop-up cards, everybody likes to make pop-up cards. I'm sure you make some for your friends' birthdays or you made some for Diwali. Let's make a very simple pop-up mechanism. There are many ways in which you can get to do pop-up. I'll show you one such mechanism. This is open and closing door mechanism which works like this. This was the Diwali card that we made. This is a box that contains a lot of Diwali goodies, sweets. So if I can open it like this, it opens and it closes like this. This is Diwali Faral. What can you see here? There is chivda, there is shankarpali, shev, laddus, chakli, karanji, all of it. So now the box can close and the box opens. This is a very simple pop-up mechanism for opening and closing of the door. How do you make it? Let me show you mechanism of how to make this. For that you need to have a base card with a slit in the middle like this, and then for the mechanism of opening and closing you need to have a strip that can very easily fit this slit. In this strip you need to make two folds, one here and then the next one very close, probably say a centimeter apart. This fold is very crucial for the opening and closing mechanism. You push this slip through the slit like this and then you fold it into half, you stick this part here and keep this floating so that, see, you can see this opening and closing how it can happen. So this is your mechanism. This is the bare open mechanism. See, you can open and close. If you stick a part of a door thing like this, you can open and close. Once we told kids a story with aliens in it, and you can see this is a door. As soon as you open the door, what happens is an alien comes. So this is an opening and closing mechanism. The same one is used in the Diwali Faral box. You can make sequential such things and make a cascading card like this. Now this is the same mechanism but repeatedly used 4 or 5 times, and you can make this very beautiful cascading opening and closing card. Same mechanism but stuck one after the other. Next we will see some dynamic origami models that with simple paper folding you can make some couplings and get beautiful motion. This is a very classic origami model. It's a model of a drinking bird. You just start with a square paper, fold it into first a bird base and then make this drinking bird. You can see this is the beak of the bird and this is the water tank. If I hold the bird like this and lift this flap up, you can see the bird drinks water. What a beautiful coupling this is. Now this is made out of just paper folding, but you can also cut and make very simple models like this. Now this is a flapping butterfly. How do you make a model like this? This was not just origami, this needs cutting. If you have a square paper like this, you fold it into half, not exactly matching the diagonals. For making the coupling, you make these two folds, you fold it into half like this, and this is your opening and closing mechanism. You need to simply cut and make room for upward motion, and you have this very beautiful flapping mechanism. See how my hand moves and how the wings move. It's kind of transfer of motion, direction of motion like this. So this was the flap, and then we have kind of colored it into a very beautiful black and blue butterfly. It need not be just the butterfly. This is the hummingbird. You just cut, instead of cutting antenna here, you need to cut a beak and you can get a very beautiful hummingbird like this. This is your flapping hummingbird. For making this origami drinking bird, we started with a square sheet and made a bird base out of it. But if you make a water bomb base, you can make this very beautiful ladybug that opens and closes its wings. You can see this ladybug, and if I pull it, you can see it opens and closes. Now this is a very simple water bomb base, but the way you stick these two leaves, these two wings and the under wings here is very crucial. Now see, you open it, you stick two wings on the inside and you see what a beautiful opening and closing motion it can exhibit, and this is a very simple water bomb base, and the ladybug can open its wings and close, open its wings and close. The last paper toy that I will show you is this very beautiful fan-tailed bird. Now this is a classic crane that we fold in origami. To its tail is attached a very simple and elegant propeller. If you see, if I blow on this propeller, it spins. To make this propeller, you simply need to take a piece of paper like this, fold it into 3 parts, then cut the parts, cut 2/3 like this from one side, then 2/3 from the other side, fold this, and this, if you stick it like this is your propeller. For this, a pin is used as an axle and a small piece of refill, old refill is used as the bearing. So, the axles moves very freely into the bearing, and then you have this bird that has very beautiful fan that is attached at its tail. Now, if I kind of weave a thread through the hump of the bird, and if you see, if I spin this bird, the propeller spins. This is a very elegant model, and even if you keep the propeller under the fan, it spins very well. Next, we will make toys with some old cardboard boxes and corrugated sheets. This is a simple toy. It could be, it's a little late for Diwali, but you could have used this fataka for your Diwali. This is an old cardboard box. It's a stiff cardboard. You take 2 kind of elongated squares like this, make notches in the center and hold these 2 pieces together with a rubber band. If you pull the rubber band like this and double it up like this, and if I throw it in air, it makes a clap. This is your no pollution fataka. So, if you pull it, double it up and throw. This is your rubber band fataka. Using rubber band, we will make 2 toys. Both of them are jumping toys. This is made from an old toothpaste tube box whose cross section was square. You take a small piece of this box, and at the 2 ends you make holes and weave a rubber band through it. You want the rubber band to stay in place, so you make 2 knots here like this so that the rubber band does not slip, and it makes for a nice tension like this structure like this. So, now if you press it flat, the rubber band stretches, and if you release it, it will jump. The toy will jump. And just so that you know what jumps, we have drawn a simple frog here, and this is a frog that jumps. So, you press this and release it and it will jump. Another way to make the same mechanism is this. You take 2 card sheets, 2 old corrugated sheets like this, and draw a frog. This is the front and the rear of the frog. The way to tangle is, now you take 2 rubber bands and tie a knot in between, and the way you tangle this is like this. Okay. Now, these 2 things could be in tension. So, you just double it up like this, keep it on the floor, and if you press it flat, again the rubber band will snap and the frog will jump. So, these are 2 mechanisms to jump, to get things to jump using rubber bands. In the next segment, we will make useful things out of trash. Let us first make a box out of a Coke bottle. If you take a look at a Coke bottle very well, you can see that it is made of nice stiff plastic, and at the bottom you can see 10 flutes like this. So, if you cut this part off, this is a large 2.5 liter bottle, you cut this part off and you can see that there are 10 flutes. You leave one flute and make a cut here until the bulge just begins. So, if you leave one and cut one, you can make 5 petals like this. Now, these 5 petals, because of the flute in the center, can actually snap very well. Just see, if they can snap shut. And this is your Coke bottle box. You don't need anything else for this. You just need to cut it well, and you can open and close this box as many times as you want. If you take a smaller bottle, you make a smaller box. I have stored some tamarind seeds inside. See, again, you can close it, and this is your box ready. This is a large and this is a small box. The next thing you can make is a wonderful wallet out of Tetra Packs. Tetra Packs are very bad for the environment. because there are many layers of paper, aluminum and plastic that are fused. So if you throw a Tetra Pak, it doesn't degrade for many years. So why don't we reuse it to make a very beautiful and customized wallet for your use. I'll show you first how it's made. So this is a Tetra Pak, and you can see there is a velcro here, and you can make a lovely 2-pocketed wallet, and it is of course waterproof because it is used to store water, and this is your wallet. If you find a Tetra Pak that has a kind of a spout like this, you can make a wallet that can close with a lid like this. So let's show you how it's made. Actually you have to staple it, but since I wanted to show you how it's made, I have not stapled it. So this was the Tetra Pak. This is a nice cylinder. You cut top and bottom so that it makes into a nice cylinder. You push both the sides into a reverse fold, press it down, fold it into half like this, and you actually have to staple it so that it stays put. You simply need to make a hole in this flap so that it goes just in, and you can lock it with its own locking mechanism, and this is your wallet. You can make your own boxes and wallets. Another thing that I will show you is how to make this coaster. This coaster is made out of either plastic bottle caps, or you can also use crown caps for this. So you have to collect a few crown caps, take a cap like this, and then you put a small piece of cloth and tie it up with a thread so that you make this one unit like this. You need to take this first unit, and then you can sew all these individual units like this to make this was actually shown to us by 2 girls who run a upcycling studio called Studio Alternatives in Pune, and this is where we learned from them. This is the coaster that we learned from them. Another useful thing you can make is this. This is what our friend saw at a place in South Africa where they were selling groundnuts. If you know that when you go and buy some roasted groundnuts, whole groundnuts, you can see that you will peel them, you eat the groundnuts, and you don't know where to throw the peels off. So this is a bag that is designed to store the peels as well. For this you need to make a newspaper cylinder like this. You need to again make 2 reverse folds and fold it into half like this. This is the only assembly that is required. One of the pouches you can store all your nuts, you eat them, and you have another pouch ready to store your peels. That is how you don't litter your city. Now I will show you 2 toys that can be assembled with marbles. This is a tumbling joker. For this let me show you how it works. You need to take an inclined surface. You need to increase the friction by kind of keeping a cloth on it. This is your tumbling joker. You can see it like this, and if I drop it, if I leave it on the slant, you can see it tumbles. How would you make it? So you need to take 2 bottle caps like this, and in the bottle cap you need to add a marble. If you close these 2 shut with a sticky tape, the marble should move very freely into these 2 bottle caps. This is the cage for the marble, and then you simply have to stick a joker's head and the torso and legs here, and then if you drop at an incline, it will go tumbling down. This is one marble toy you can make. Another very simple and intriguing toy can be assembled with a simple ruler, scale and washcloth pins. You need to push the pins on incline so that it is actually a game to be played with a marble. If I release the marble from here, you will see this can make a very simple marble run. You can actually change the angle of these things, and you can have a competition as to who can get the marble to run for the largest amount of time. If their peg is really vertical, it slips down and it falls, and if it is too horizontal, it stops there. So this angle is extremely crucial for the marble run. So if I gently release it, you will see it can go down. So you can make this toy with a simple cloth spin and 1 marble, and you can play with it for as long as you want. At Garware Bal Bhavan, we have assembled very fun bead and string puzzles. Let me show you a couple of them. This is actually a leaf puzzle. This is a flex that is cut in the form of a leaf. There is a slit in the middle here, and there is a hole here. a string passes through this slit and out through the hole, and it has two large beads that are tied at the end. You can see that if I pull the string from here, the beads are not going to come out of the hole that we've made here. The puzzle is such that you, without prying this open or cutting the string, you have to free the string from this leaf. I'm sure after a couple of tries you will be able to make it, but let me show you for now. You first have to get this part of the leaf, the rib part of the leaf, out from this hole like this to the other end. See, this comes out like this. Now it's very easy to get the bead out from here, and your leaf and the string are separate. Again, to tangle, you have to do the same thing but in an opposite way. So you push this in from the hole, push the bead in through this part, get it out, pull it back in place, and your puzzle is ready. If you don't find a flex like this, if you have some old plastic bags that come with sugar or rava or maida, you can make it out of that too. You don't have to wait until you find a flex. This is another puzzle. This is actually a stiff cardboard, and there is a string attached to it. It makes two loops like this. If you can see, there are holes, the string passes through these holes, then makes two loops, and there is one bead attached that goes into this one loop. With a few motions or a few maneuvers, you have to get this bead into this loop. You have to shift it from this loop to another loop. This is a slightly complicated way of doing it, but if you go on Garhware Bal Bhavan's YouTube channel, there is a video that depicts on how to do it. But I'm sure first you have to try it, and I'm sure you'll get it. This is another puzzle that is assembled with a simple paper. This is a shoe that is attached, that is actually attached to this part of the paper like this. You can see from the rear, and there is this simple photo frame like thing that goes through it, and you have to separate this paper out of this strip of paper without actually tearing anything. I'll show you how it's done. If you fold the paper into half, this part of the frame will move back, shift back like this, and you can easily remove the shoe, separate like this, and this will come out as well. This is a very simple puzzle that you can assemble. Now you can see there is a long strip of paper with a small slit in it, then there is a small frame and a shoe. Let me show you how to get it back. Again, you do the same procedure in an opposite this thing. So you fold it into half, push this in, weave the shoe, and put it back in place, and your puzzle is ready. I am going to end my session with a story. It's an adaptation of the story Mr. Willoughby's Christmas Tree by Robert Barry. Once upon a time in London lived a very wealthy man called Mr. Willoughby. Mr. Willoughby, it was Christmas time, and Mr. Willoughby wanted to bring home the tallest Christmas tree that was available in the market. So Mr. Willoughby along with his butler went to the market and bought a very tall Christmas tree for his mansion. This is the Christmas tree that Mr. Willoughby bought. He loaded it on the truck, and the truck went into Mr. Willoughby's house in through the door, and just as he was about to stand the tree, what happened was that the tree was a little oversized. It touched the ceiling and bent at the top. And now Mr. Willoughby didn't know what to do. But Mrs. Willoughby had an idea, and she got the tree chopped like this, put the remaining tree outside. She now put a little stand, kept the tree in the mansion, and she trimmed it with a very pretty star. Now Mr. Willoughby had a very beautiful Christmas tree in his mansion. Now, the rest of the tree was just kept outside his mansion for anybody to pick. Now, from there were passing a farmer and his wife. The name of the farmer was Tim and his wife was Adelaide. Both of them saw a beautiful Christmas tree that was lying just outside Mr. Willoughby's mansion. They said, wow, this is a beautiful tree and I have to take it home. So Tim and his wife Adelaide lugged this tree home, and their house is a little small. So somehow they get it in and they try to stand it tall, and they see that oops, it's a little tall for their house, little too tall for their house. So it touched the ceiling and bent at the top. So Mrs. Adelaide had this idea, and she cut the top off, kept the rest of the tree outside her house, put a little stand below the tree, stuck a very beautiful star at the top, and Adelaide and Tim had this very beautiful Christmas tree in their house. Now the rest of the Christmas tree was left outside as a trash. From there was going Barnaby Bear at the night. Barnaby Bear, when passing through Tim and Adelaide's house, saw this very beautiful Christmas tree that was lying outside. Now Barnaby realized that he didn't have a Christmas tree in his cave. So he picked up the Christmas tree that was lying outside and pulled it all the way to his cave. He pushed the tree inside the cave, and just as he was about to stand it tall, he realized that it was oversized. It touched the ceiling and bent at the top. So what he did was again the same thing. He chopped off the little bit of Christmas tree, kept it just outside the cave in case anybody wanted to use it. He put it on a stand, kept it down, and as everyone else did, trimmed it with a beautiful star. And Barnaby Bear's cave had this very beautiful Christmas tree. In the night, a little frisky fox was trotting by. When he came outside Barnaby's cave, what did he see? He saw a very beautiful Christmas tree that was lying outside. He said, this is just right for my den. So the fox picked up the Christmas tree and carried it all the way home. In the den he took it, and just as he was about to stand it tall, he realized that it was a bit oversized. So as everybody did, he chopped off the top, kept it outside the den, he put it on a stand and kept it in his house. And again, as everybody, he trimmed it with a very beautiful star, and the fox's den had a very pretty Christmas tree. Now a little bit of Christmas tree was again lying outside the den, and in the night was hopping Benjamin Rabbit. Just as Benjamin Rabbit came outside Fox's den, he saw that a small teeny weeny Christmas tree was lying outside his den. So he took the tree, took it to his hole, and just as he was about to stand it, what happened? Again it was oversized, it touched the ceiling and bent at the top. So he chopped the tiny part that was extra, he put it outside his hole, he put the tree on a beautiful stand. So Benjamin Rabbit had a beautiful Christmas tree in his hole. He put it on a stand and trimmed it with a star. Now a little tiny portion of the tree was just left outside Benjamin Rabbit's hole. And you know who was the last person who went through the night? It was this Mistletoe Mouse. Mistletoe Mouse, when he went just outside Benjamin Rabbit's hole, he realized that there is this beautiful tiny tree that was kept just outside his hole. So he said, this is just the right tree for my hole. So he picked up the tree and he took it home. And you know where Mistletoe Mouse lived? He lived right inside Mr. Willoughby's mansion. So he took the small bit of tree, he trimmed it with a star and had a little tiny tree in his house as well. Mistletoe Mouse was extremely happy, and you know what he realized? That he had the same pretty tree as Mr. Willoughby. This is a story that tells us a lot about recycling. It shows that somebody's trash can be somebody else's treasure. creating something beautiful, dynamic and of value from waste and humble material, it's also called as upcycling, is very, very important. It needs a lot of creativity, a lot of hard work and most importantly, love for a beautiful blue planet. So take pride in recycling, make many toys out of trash, and whatever toys you make, do send us small pictures and videos of what you make. Thank you very much for listening to me patiently and wish you all a very happy Children's Day again. Namaste.